All right, so we're back, and Jessi, you should feel good because we did a live stream for the Tales of the Walking Dead, and I had multiple people asking, when is the next retro review?
Yes.
People have been missing you, man.
I know. I miss the people.
I'm here for the people. That's what I do. So I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we're the Podcasting Dead, and we're doing a series. If you're new to this channel, it's called Retro Reviews, where we are going back and starting from scratch, watching The Walking Dead from the beginning up to current. Jessi had never watched it before. Of course, I've seen it all, but it's fun having Jessi do this because it's a fresh perspective.
Yes.
And for those of us that were obsessed with it back in the day, it kind of is very nostalgic because you get to relive it again with someone like who's never seen it and the things that you wondered when you watched it and all of that. And we finally arrived to season 2, episode 7, pretty much dead already. And this episode was a doozy.
A doozy.
How much? Let's just start out. Let's reverse it, right? So we normally end the episode rating it.
Oh my God.
Let's rate it at the beginning.
Okay.
Out of 5, what you think? Hands below the desk. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, you gave it like 15.
Yes.
2 fingers and 1 foot.
Yeah.
This episode was the episode when I realized that this show was something awesome. Like, I remember liking season 1, liking up to this point, and when this episode happened, I was like, holy shit. And that's when I knew I loved this show.
Well, it almost made me cry, which is really hard to do. So I was, yeah. And for like a week after I watched it too.
Oh, yeah.
I kept thinking about it and getting like real sad.
That is good writing. That's good storytelling, because it's one thing for you to watch something on TV and like it or react to it. It's another thing when days go by and you're still thinking about it.
Yeah.
Did you expect Sophia to be in that barn?
Fuck no. And I'm mad at myself that I didn't at least think of that.
You're not alone. Nobody did. Like, when I remember when that happened, like, that shocked everybody.
Yes.
I didn't know anyone who,
Jesus.
even the people that lie to try to act like they're smarter than they are, didn't even have the balls to be like, oh, I saw that coming. Everybody was like, dude, what the F?
It even took me a second when I saw her to realize it was her. In my head, I'm like, why does she look so familiar? And then I was like,
how do I know this zombie?
I was like, I've seen this zombie before. And I was like, is that their sister? No, wait, is it their brother? And then I was like, and then I saw Carol and I was like,
no.
No.
That was so, it was so good. And
it was.
There's my two favorite episodes of The Walking Dead in its entirety are this episode and then I think it's episode 8 of season 4 with the governor at the prison. But anyways, like, this is like in my top 2 favorite episodes ever, because from the second Shane started losing his shit and just was rallying people to clear the barn, like, that shit, I get goosebumps. Because, I mean, like, you're on the edge of your seat. Like, that's why I say, like, hopefully by now you see why I say I don't like Shane, but I like him being, he really shakes things up. I mean, like, him handing guns. What about you, man? You can protect yours? I mean, it was freaking awesome. And
it
then,
was
like,
wild.
The intensity of him telling, like, Rick and Herschel, like, tell me if she was a real person, could she take this? And he shoots her like 3 times. He's like, that's 3 shots to the chest. Why is she still coming? Then Rick's like, that's enough, Shane. Shane's like, you're right, man. That is enough. And that slow motion shot when he shoots it in the head, and, like, they know shit is real. Oh my God, I love this episode.
I cannot wait to see how Herschel reacts to this.
I swear you read my mind, because that was, I've been in radio for years, and you're always a good listener really doesn't formulate questions in their head. They listen and then they come up with a question. But I was just thinking, I want to ask you, like, how do you think Herschel is going to react to this?
I have no clue, because I know that some of the people in the barn were his relatives, like his wife and, like, maybe a daughter or stepdaughter, stepson, something, I don't know. But, like, he had to see them get killed, which is different than seeing just a random zombie get killed.
Right.
And so I really don't know. And I couldn't tell by his expression how he was feeling about it exactly. So I'm just, I think that he's going to try to make them leave after this. I mean, he was already wanting them to leave, but I don't think that he will see the good in what they did.
So you don't think that there will be any clarity for him?
No.
Because, he looks at them just as, and I like that they introduced that angle because, in a real situation like that, there would be people that would see them like 100%. That. There would be like zombie rights activist groups that would see them as just sick people.
Yeah.
So, I loved when we were watching, when that was happening, I remember like talking to my dad, like, I think it's awesome they did that angle because there would be someone out there that would be like, they're just sick people. Yep. They're sick people who try to eat people. Mm-hmm. Like people like with any kind of mental handicap, whatever, I'm all for sympathy and like trying to provide and do for them. But when they start killing people, that's when my sympathy ends.
Yeah. Oh, Herschel just has a good heart for the zombies, but not for Rick and all them.
How awesome was the scene where Rick like steps up to take her out? Like the slow motion, the cocking the hammer,
it was so emotional. Because, like, nobody wants to be the one to have to do it in front of Carol. Also, like, you all know her. She was a part of your group for a while. And it's like, nobody wants to be the one to do it. Rick knew that he had to be the one. He's always the one.
Do you see, like, why? Do you see the evolution of Rick? Do you see? That's what I love. Rick and Glenn, man, two of the best written characters on the show because their evolution is slow, but it's realistic.
Yeah.
Because people evolve slowly over time. We don't just have something happen and it just dramatically change our perspective in our view. You know what I mean? It takes a while of things happening to a person to change who they are. And we slowly see Rick changing. Mm-hmm. When he steps up to shoot her, and that music and the slow-mo.
I'm like getting emotional thinking about it.
It's so good, man.
But I guess because I mostly put myself in Carol's shoes.
Oh yeah, well and that is very true. When you watch shows when kids are killed or hurt, you watch it totally different when you have kids than if you would like when I watched it, I didn't have a kid. So like, oh, that's sad, but whatever. When you have a daughter, especially, and it's a little girl that's dying in the episode, like, there's a scene in Vikings, and I won't say who, what, where. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. There's a scene where this guy, his young daughter, dies, and he goes and sits by the river and has this conversation with her. And to date, that shit almost makes me cry every time. Between the music, between what he's saying to her, like he's saying, like, it's a father's job to toughen a son up. But, a father can, find, softness in their daughter, like, like blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, but when I watched that without a daughter, I was like, man, that's sad. I go back and rewatch it with a daughter. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. So, you do. You think about, like, what would you do in that situation?
I know. I just don't even know. Because what had to be done was what happened.
Like, Rick did what needed to be done.
Yes. But at the same time, Carol had to watch. It was just like all the hope was lost in that moment. And then you had to watch her die for real. Like, you had to watch that.
And it was like such a deflating moment because they've been looking for this little girl for so long.
Yes.
And now she's been here the whole time.
Yep.
Like, that was such a well-written of, like, she's been here, like, right under your nose. And you just never had a clue.
So crazy.
Now, how do you think it'll be addressed that Sophia was in the barn to begin with? Do you think that they're going to be mad at Herschel? Do you think there's going to be some issues with that?
No. Why would they be mad about that? Because Herschel was keeping them because they were people.
Well, you got to think, it's not like they showed Herschel or anybody a picture of her and was like, hey.
I don't think Herschel knew.
Like, Herschel knew they were looking for someone's daughter, but, like, Herschel didn't know what she looked like.
I wonder if Herschel had an inkling that maybe, because he had to have known that they had a little girl in there. So I wonder if he wondered.
You wonder if he wondered.
Yes.
And how about Andrea and Shane? Like, Andrea just agging the
my eyes are going to get stuck in the back of my head.
It's hard not to roll your eyes when you hear the word Andrea.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I say to anybody out there, if not Lauren Cohen, that's Maggie. If, I used to know her name. If the actress that played Andrea ever listens, we don't hate you. You did nothing wrong. You were a wonderful actress, and she seems like a really good person in real life. It is not her I dislike. It's the character.
The character, which means that she did a very good job.
Right, like she did a good
Just
job
like
of making you. But the sad thing is, if you read the comics, and I'm really not one of those sticklers. Like, I don't think it has to stick crazy close to the source material.
Yeah.
I don't mind when there's a book or a comic, and then a director, producer, writer puts their own spin on that. I'm cool with that. Yeah. Things can change. Carol, nothing like she was in the comics. I mean, absolutely. Number one, she should have been about 20 years younger. And, you know, she should have at some point asked Rick and Lori to have a threesome, because she does in the comic.
Oh, shit.
But, you know, it's like, I just, you know, I don't mind deviations from comic adaptations, but with that said, like, Andrea was so awesome in the comics. Like, she was a sharpshooter. Like, she was one of those, like, for me, I started off playing Resident Evil as a kid. One of the main characters that is Jill Valentine. Mm-hmm. And she, until the third game, she was kind of sexualized. But up to that point, she hadn't really been sexualized. She was just a badass chick. And I always liked that. Like, hey, you know, here's a chick, doesn't have to be, I mean, of course she was high, but, you know, I mean, it's like she doesn't have to have her boobs hanging out to be like, yo, she's a badass. I love this character. And then it's like Andrea was that way in the comics. Like, she was a female who was just a female that was a badass, and you loved her. And then you make her someone that we absolutely despise in the show. Like, I can forgive slight variations, but that one I could not.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a giant wall. I mean, Andrea in the comics was a bamf. Like, she was a sharpshooter. Like, she started shooting and learned she could shoot good. So she was kind of like the sniper. She could pick somebody off at a long distance.
I like that, Andrea.
Not the show Andrea.
No.
Who tries to kill Daryl.
I was going to say, not that great of a shot.
Now, how do you think this is going to affect everyone going forward? Because you're now at what was like the mid-season finale. Because I remember that happened, and if I remember correctly, it went off for a while, then it came back. How do you think, like, how do you think I mean, I know it's too many to, like, go through one by one, but what are some people you think that are going to react to it? How do you think they're going to react?
Definitely Carl. I think that was extra traumatizing for him, probably. And definitely Carol. Carl and Carol. Everyone in Herschel's house, I think it'll affect them in some type of way. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
How do you think Shane's going to react to it? Because you saw even he looked shocked when she came out. Like, even Shane, the zombie slaying, you know, mastermind behind it all, didn't have, you know, the gall to step up and take Sophia out.
Fuck if I know. I don't know about Shane. I never know. He's going to walk around looking distraught like he always does because they had to kill Sophia and Carol had to watch it, and it's all his fault, and he's just going to play the victim. Anyway.
Well, you're gonna have Andrea egging it on in the future. So.
Jesus. Does she ever die?
I can't tell you that. That's a huge spoiler.
Everybody in the comments.
No, don't tell Jessi. Do not in the comments tell Jessi about Andrea.
I'm going to do a quick Google.
Please don't. But you've done pretty good of it. You've done good at avoiding, like, spoilers, though.
The only time I almost spoiled it for myself was when I was looking at bad lip reading, but I stopped it as soon as it got past the episodes
that I had seen.
So it didn't spoil anything for me, but I almost did.
Is there anything in the future that you know is going to happen, or are you completely blank slate? Like,
literally nothing.
So, because, you know, you got to remember, Jessi didn't watch nor was interested in The Walking Dead. So I'm sure if articles popped up on Facebook feed, she just, like, didn't pay any attention.
Did not care, because I thought it was so stupid.
And that is great, because so many people are going to die in so many effed up ways.
Oh, no.
Yep. So let me ask you, all right, we're at episode 7 of season 2. Who do you think the next major death is going to be? So Sophia was the last one. Who do you think the next person in our group of misfits is going to be that's going to die?
Herschel.
Herschel? Mm-hmm. All right. Why?
I don't know.
Do you like Herschel at this point? He makes it a little hard at this point.
He does, because, like, I can get where he's coming from, but at the same time, I just that's not, you can't, how can you throw a group of people out into that shit?
See, I kind of can. I'm like you. I kind of understand Herschel in the sense of like you've got your own land, you've got your family. It's enough trying to keep them safe, keep them fed, keep them warm. Now you got this whole other group of people shows up. You don't know them from Adam. The guy shows up with his kid that's been shot, and you got to save it. So like I get Herschel's point of view, but I totally get yours too. Of like, okay, but at this point, it's only been a few days, but like you've gotten to know them pretty well. Like you can see they're not a bad. It's one thing if they show up and just are like that day, like, hey, can we stay here? I don't know you.
It's only been a few days.
Yeah.
Jeez, it feels like so long.
But at this point, you've gotten to know them. You've commended Rick on his leadership. You know that Rick's a good guy. You know that most people in the group are good people. That's when it would be hard to kick them out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have kids, so you've got to be able to identify with the part of yourself that would kick into survival mode in the apocalypse. Like we all like to think we'd be the loving, caring, like I'll take anyone in and I'll love you. But at the end of the day, if it comes between a stranger and your kids' lives, you're going to pick the kids every time.
Well, now, Lori, they told him that Lori was pregnant, so.
Yeah.
Is that going to sway him in a different direction?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait till next week. Now that we're doing these weekly, which we would have last week, but had some complications.
Yeah. Somebody was mad at us in the comments. They were like, it's hard to keep up when it's only once a month. Like, I know.
Well, you know what? If people would stop, if the world would stop being the world. Could do it, I mean, we had some stuff pop up last week that kind of halted. But, I mean, Jessi can vouch that was fully on the docket. Like, we were going to do it. And then something, I think it was a valid excuse to not be able to do
110%. And Justin still wanted to do it. And I was like,
I tried, but that was probably for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but we were trying to keep these consistent. If we keep doing it, like we'll record these on Monday and then they'll come out sometime that week. Like so I've got the last one, which will come out tomorrow. And then next week we'll have this one, which will be this week for you listening. I know that's confusing. But so we're basically recording these about a week ahead of time to make sure that we can start keeping a consistent schedule. Yeah. Because at the rate we were at, it would take us like 10 years to get caught up.
That's probably why I feel like it's been so long that they've been at Herschel's, because it really is like, it's taken us forever.
Well, people complain about season 2 and say it drags out, which, I love like I said, season 2 was when I learned, like, I love this show. Like, this is a great show.
Yeah.
Season 3 and part of season 4, I felt like it was at the highest it was ever going to fly. And then, you've had moments since then that were awesome. But, I still think season 2 is where I fell in love with the show. I was like, okay, I'm digging this. Like, up to that point, it was like, I like it. Yeah, I'm watching it.
I'm in it. And there's so many things going on that I need to know about. That's what keeps me interested.
I like how, you remember Carl stole Daryl's gun or whatever. Yeah. And I love that Daryl, like, when they gave Daryl, like, the revolver or whatever, and, it's like, wait, so we've gotten to that point, right? Where Carl steals a gun?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because no, we have not.
We haven't?
No, we haven't. Never mind.
Are you sure?
I'm flashing forward too far, yeah. Carl steals a gun at some point. Where that goes, I don't know.
He definitely had a gun.
Did he?
Carl had a gun.
Dun, 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 dun. But, I mean, it's like, I love that, like, because Daryl, we're coming around to like him, but we see when you put him in that situation, like when Shane handed him a gun, he was all about it.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing that I just can't get over, and maybe it's just being raised up polite and all of that, but like they're like, y'all comfortable with these things living in your backyard? Bitch, it ain't your backyard. This is Herschel's backyard.
Yeah.
Your guests here. Like, at this point in the story, I was fully, I mean, I get what Shane's saying, but I'm fully on like Rick's side. Like, we are guests here.
And they can't risk being kicked out.
Right. And if you dislike it that much, then leave.
Yeah, well, he tried to leave and now he can't because he thinks that Lori is having his baby.
Yep.
And she probably is.
Oh, I mean, I just don't know how in the apocalypse you ain't pulling out.
In the moment, Justin, we done talked about this.
Look, Look, I don't get it though. In the moment, schmoment, like you're in the apocalypse. Pull out.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it stopped many pregnancies throughout human history.
Yeah. I wonder if Glenn's pulling out. Did he stock up on condoms?
Dude, I ain't gonna lie. If I was Glenn, I was banging Maggie.
I ain't gonna pull
Hell no.
You want to lock that down?
I'm locking that.
Lock it down.
I got you in the apocalypse, and I'm making sure that for the next 18 years at least, you are a part of my life.
At least that way Herschel couldn't kick him out anyway, because that's
her baby daddy.
Yeah.
Like, you can't kick baby daddy out.
Well, also, I wonder if Maggie wanting them to stay is going to sway Herschel.
I mean, at this point, what do you think? You think Herschel's going to let him stay, or you think he's going to be doubled down on get the F out of here?
See, I don't know, and that's why I said I think he's going to be the next one to die.
So you think if not Herschel, who else do you think?
Well, clearly it's not Herschel if you're asking me.
No. I'm just there's a lot of deaths. I mean, this show, like people used to joke that Game of Thrones had better job security. They kill off a lot of characters, big characters. So who do you think?
Okay, let's see. Who is in there that doesn't matter? Dude, I don't know. That is such a hard question.
Because they haven't given any hints to anyone dying. No. That's what's beautiful about the show. Like, even Game of Thrones, yes, there are sudden deaths that you don't see coming, but, like, there's build-up to characters dying. At this point, now, Walking Dead in the future gets to a point where, like, if they focus on a character for an episode, they're probably going to die. But before that, at this point, the deaths were very random. You don't see them coming. Like, there's no build-up. It's just like, holy crap.
Is it Maggie?
You think Maggie's going to die?
That would be heartbreaking.
Then Glenn's going to I'm telling you, once you get to the Glenn, Dale, Maggie, love trifecta.
Oh, my God. Do they die on a trip to Pleasure Town?
Like Wild Dale's giving them both the business?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you what kind of man I am.
How would Dale give them both? He's got 2 dicks.
Oh, he's got one, but he's going back and forth.
Oh.
Which isn't very sanitary.
No.
Like, you got Glenn and Maggie.
It's like a lot of truffle butter going on there.
Right. Like, you need to, like clean off between the switching.
Well, that would just kill the mood, though.
It would. I mean, it's
but so does truffle butter.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on who you're asking.
It depends on how kinky and freaky the person you're dealing with is.
I'm not that kinky.
I don't think most people are.
I don't.
Unless they're paid to do it in front of a camera.
I don't enjoy UTIs.
Yeah. I would imagine going from that to that would be very unsanitary.
Yeah, don't do that.
And they're not really showering that much.
Yeah.
So it's not like, I'm pretty sure like porn stars that do a lot of that stuff, there's probably a lot of disinfecting and cleaning and prepping.
Yeah, probably.
Like flushing and things. Ugh. So,
not in the zombie apocalypse.
No. I mean, I feel like Glenn and Maggie would have had like stinky hot sex at that store, but as we've said, in the apocalypse, you probably just don't care.
Yeah, they're nose blind at this point.
Yeah, it's like we're literally killing things every day that smell like shit, piss, and death.
Yep.
What's a little stinky genital gonna do?
But what's a little dick cheese?
A little cooch cheddar.
Blech. Gross.
But so
I really want cheese now.
I love cheese. We keep like the string cheese in the fridge. I love string cheese.
I love those.
It's my favorite. And like I watch people that take it and they bite it.
I was just about to say,
you're
hate when people...
defeating the point.
Yes.
Like, you're supposed to peel it.
You're taking all the fun away, and it tastes different when you bite it.
Why are these people fun suckers? That sounded like a freaking dinosaur,
it
man.
Did. Oh, sorry.
Don't apologize.
I forgot I was on mic.
I'm going to be disappointed if you can't do that again.
Who's Mike?
You'll get to know him.
Anyway.
He's always listening.
He's going to be the next one to die.
So you say your votes for next deaths. We're going to say Herschel and or Maggie.
Yes, not and. Just one. I can't deal with
Herschel
two.
or Maggie. That's your prediction.
That's my prediction.
Let me tell you, I cannot wait for you to watch not next week's, but like the next episode because it's going to keep rolling with that tension and that like stuff's going to happen. They ain't going to just sit around and be like, damn.
I'm excited. I really need I need to know. And the thing is, I can't Go to the next episode because I have to wait until we do this.
Jessi's been very faithful. She's been very good about not just going, I'm just going to skip and pretend, because I feel like if you were, you would have slipped by now. And
Yeah.
been like, you know.
No, I cannot differentiate.
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 Differentiate. Is that Italian?
Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
Hey, I cannot differentiate.
I can differentiate a pizza pie.
Papa the beacon, Papa the buoy.
Exactly.
Papa the, what is it? Papa the, what do they say?
What are you saying?
Papa the buoy. I don't know.
What's that?
Some on Family Guy.
Oh, so probably.
Bibbidi bobbidi.
Exactly. Bibbidi bobbidi boop.
But so, yeah, I know there's other things in the episode we didn't necessarily cover, but I mean, let's face it, the whole highlight of this episode is the barn scene. Like, everything in this episode led up to the barn scene. I mean,
Dude,
it's just, and it's one of the most iconic scenes in The Walking Dead's history. Like, this is such a moment in history for The Walking Dead that it's hard to focus on anything else.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's. I think we've covered, the major points of this episode.
Oh yeah.
And next episode, there's going to be a lot of changes, so I'm interested to see how you react to those. So
I'm interested to see how I react to that too.
let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode. For me personally, it holds a very dear place in my heart in Walking Dead history. It's just such a good episode, and I never to this day I remember the goosebumps I got when Sophia stumbled out that barn, and you were like, "Oh my God!" Like you had predicted, you thought she was dead. You said that a few episodes ago that you were like, I think she's dead.
Yeah.
And I was trying to like sway you the other way, like, well, they found the teddy bear and blah, blah, blah. But like, it's not just the sting of she was dead, but she's been here the entire time.
Right fucking there.
Like Daryl almost died out in the woods looking for her, and she was where he left.
God. I really want to know if Herschel had an inkling. I didn't even think about that until right now.
We'll see. That will be answered next episode.
That's so fucking crazy.
It is such a good twist.
This show, whoever wrote this is a fucking genius.
The writing in the first few seasons is spectacular. Mm-hmm. It definitely falters at points, but it is spectacular.
I mean, nobody's perfect, but damn.
And there are still even in this season, there are still so many twists and turns you're going to go through. Like, yes, this was kind of like the highlight of the season, but there are still character deaths you are not going to see coming. There are just some of the best moments of the show come from this, and like this, and then season 3. I cannot wait for you to get into season 3.
Can you imagine? I always think about this with movies and shows, especially like funny things. But when they thought up this scene and they put it on paper, I bet they were just like, "This is genius," and they were so excited about it.
And here's a cool, comic spoiler, but if you don't plan to read the comics, you'll be okay. If you do want to read the comics, my God, catch up. They started in 2003, man. Like,
I mean.
But so in the comics, Sophia lives, all the way through.
How long did it take them to find her?
So, oh no, she never got lost in the comics. That's a completely unique story to the. But so interestingly enough, in the comics, Carol decides she wants to be a 3-way couple with Lori and Rick, and they're not about it. Which totally would have been like, hey, it's the apocalypse. It's a little 3-way every now and again. But that's coming from a guy's perspective, not the females. Probably be different if a guy was like, yo, can I bang your wife and you every once in a while? And probably like, no. But, it's like, so she wanted to do that, and they said no. So then another character who I won't name, but they will show up in season 4, shows up, and she starts falling in love with them. But then she catches another character giving him a blowjob later on.
No.
So Carol commits suicide by letting a zombie bite her throat out in the show. Like, she's very weak. She never really has any demons.
Wait, in this show?
I mean, in the comic.
It was like Justin.
In the comic, Carol is about 20 years younger, and she also lets like a zombie chew out her throat, and she's just kind of...
There's definitely easier ways to go.
Oh, yeah.
Right, like
would hurt way
dramatic
less.
much.
Yeah.
Carol.
But she is totally different. But no, Sophia lives all the way to the end. In fact, because we're talking comic spoilers, and again, if you don't want the ending to the comic spoiled, then don't listen. Tune out for a few minutes or a few seconds. But in the comics, Carl ends up married to Sophia when they get older.
Aww.
Yep, which makes 0 sense because in the comics, him and Lydia had a thing, which is a character you hadn't met yet. yada yada yada. But
How would you get married to somebody in the fucking zombie apocalypse? Like, what does it even matter?
I hate to sound sentimental, but I still feel like it would matter because, like, even I know that it's like, oh, obviously there's not a lot of choices, but you're still telling someone through the apocalypse, I'm still choosing you. I want to be here for you for the rest of your life. I want to protect you from zombies.
I suppose.
Because I mean, before it got so commercialized and weddings became this big profitable market for big corporate companies to be like, oh, every girl should be a princess on her wedding. We're only telling you that, not that you truly deserve it, because we want you to spend thousands with us when you get married. Before that, weddings were super simple. Yeah. Like you just went to the church and the pastor married you and your parents were there and that was it. You were married. Hell, sometimes you didn't even go to the church. Sometimes you're just like, hey, we're married. And I was like, okay.
Cool.
Sweet. Can't bang nobody else? Nope. Can I get like another day on this? Nope. All right.
Can I get a hall pass?
I'm yours. But, so it is totally different. So in the comics, Sophia lives way past this, and Carol Carol would technically die in season 3 if you were following comic story arc. But Sophia lives throughout, so totally different than the comics. But it was like you said, when you said they wrote it and they were like, man, this is genius. They probably were, because even people like myself that read the comics never saw that coming.
I literally am baffled that I didn't think that was an option.
It's like they gave you the big hint. Barn full of walkers.
Yes, like it didn't freaking click.
And I just wonder, like, when she got bit. You know what I mean? She had a big bite mark on the side.
Yeah.
So she got bit at some point. So at what point did she get bit? And I'm afraid...
We don't
know.
know.
We're not really going to find out.
Well, they probably didn't think that was a very important thing to find out. Plus, how would they find out that?
Right. They never would unless they showed us the audience.
There's no trail cams recording anything.
Actually, Rick, I got it all on my trail cam. Yeah. See, I had this big buck. And then you see this other bear come through. That's a coyote. That's the big buck again. That's the big buck doing a doe. And then there she is getting bit.
Yep.
But thank you so much for listening. Please watch out for next week's episode where we will review episode 8 of season 2, and let us know what you think in the comments. What did this episode mean to you? Did it make you love the show as much as it made me love the show? Jessi, I think it made you love the show. You already were invested.
The answer is yes.
But it's definitely got you locked in now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I see what this show is capable of now.
Capable of almost making me cry.
And you still might. I still think there's
I feel it coming.
I feel like there's a point in season 3 you're gonna cry.
It just has to catch me on a little bit of an off day, and the waterworks are coming.
Like, I'm hoping it's just one of those days where, like, I don't want to say you're having a rough day because I never wish that on you. But like, maybe you're just not feeling the best.
Or maybe I forgot to take my medicine that day.
Right, and you're just like, oh God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tears.
Gonna happen.
But comment, let us know what you think, and we will be back next week to review episode 8. In the meantime, I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we are the Podcasting Dead. Thank you so much for listening. Adios.
Bye.
Peace. I'm just going to do continuous fades like this.
That's not annoying.
All right, now it's going out. Goodbye.